Alright, friends and fiends, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do session 3 of the solo RPG. Good. I know you and I have been waiting on this. We've been waiting on this for a minute. Sometimes that's how it works out. So it's taking us a minute to get back around to it, but we are going to hit it back today, and we're going to take care of it. I'm just finishing up a few setup things, and then we'll be good to go. Actually, you know what? I don't even need to finish the setup things. Let's just go ahead and get into it. How about that? Let's just go ahead and jump in. Why not? I thought it would be good to first kick off with, let's do a weather roll. We haven't done any true weather rolls, I don't think, yet. Let's go ahead and get one down. Even though we're going to be inside for a good portion of this session, I feel like it's nice to get in the habit of doing the weather, and we'll see how often we do the weather. So this time we have to start off with an actual D20 roll. Because I don't think we have I don't have down, at least, us having some weather. So let me throw you over real quick. Yeah, let's just go. You know what? Let's go to the workspace. I'm not set up the window capture, obviously. Alright, let's do it that way. Then we'll show everything once we get there. So, we need a 1d20 roll. Then we'll check on our weather hex where we are. Natural 20, good way, precipitous way to start our session. I like it. I wish it was for something other than weather, which is equal to the same thing as a 10 on our little weather hex. So it's right smack dab in the center of our weather. All right, number 10. Hey, what do you know? I've literally already got it covered. All right, seasonably cool. It's gonna be cool because it's still early spring. Calm and foggy. I like it. I think we'll just. Can we just drop this in right here? Up. Just put this on here. I don't know how we're gonna do the weather yet. I may move it every time we move between scenes. And those of you who have seen me do the prep and how I use it in my games in which I run, is usually I have a weather that we start with in the session. And then I roll again for weather that we're going to end at in the session. And then towards the middle of the session, I transpose them. Hey, what's going on, Sans? Yeah, we're starting a little bit later today. We are getting to the solo RPG. Finally, session 3. We're waiting on it. But yeah, so usually I do a cross section when I do weather on games that I run. I'm not sure how I want to do that with this because solo RPG time can be a little interesting. So I didn't know how it was going to be, so we'll just leave it for that for right now, and then at some point I'll get around to rolling for it again. My day's going alright. I mean, pretty good. It's raining outside. That's about it. And how are you doing, Sans? Hopefully well. Yeah, let's, so we got that out of the way. Let's talk about what happened last time. We're going to our session 2. So, we had our exterior night in the forest. We had, Kristoff and Gertrude running down trying to figure out what was going on with that druid attempted kidnapper who ran off. They did not do a particularly good job of finding this person. By the time they got there, the pursuers had gone. They didn't really get any conclusive evidence, as we see right there. They didn't get any conclusive evidence. But we did learn a little bit about them, which was kind of what the thing is. So we learned that Reed is on an adventure to find a place where he can be useful in transition. Why did I write Reed? That's Kristoff. Reed is our main character. So the Kristoff's one of our retainers. Blood and money, yes. So he's looking for a place where he can be useful in transition to kind of his retirement. He's getting a little bit older. We've actually got some images of him. We can go ahead and pull these up. Here we go. That's kind of what Kristoff looks like. His ears should be a little slightly more pointed. He is a half-elf. Really human. And then Gertrude. We know Gertrude is kind of an outsider who's looking for a place to belong. She didn't get too much... like a lot of people who end up at... the place that I can't remember, places where she was studying as druid, as lore keeper, is that they're a little kind of out of place, like people who don't fit super great into society, and so Gertrude is one of those people that Usathas Kun has kind of given to us as a helper who's supposed to kind of help us be successful, but is also a way for her to find a place of belonging. I think a little an image for her as well. And these aren't like permanent images, but there we go. That's kind of what she looks like. You got this light purplish lizard folk looking person, Saurian. Happened. Back in Glorybend Hall, Reed was able to go through his commendation ceremony, did his act of honor, swears his fealty to First Hells, and he accepts the symbolic Seisen ritual, and he's lifted to the station of baronet, and we rolled the max for our league hexes, so that's really great. So we got basically as large of a fee for Dominion as a baronet that we could get, so we got the max out of it, which was really, really nice. It's going to give us a lot of opportunities going forward. If it's your first time watching this, we've got 2 episodes before this. You should go check those out. Not necessary for this one, though. You haven't missed that much. We're going over pretty much everything you missed. But the idea is that a lot of this campaign is going to focus a little bit more on Dominion play, a little bit on growing up. And this newly raised noble who's going to be basically sent off into the marches to clear out a portion of land for themselves and for the princedom in general. So we're probably going to do a little bit of invasion as well, even though we don't have a lot of forces for that. So we're going to have to be clever rather than strong. And we got their exterior castle town upon arrival. They got back, talked to Chief Steward Ludwig, who is again Reed's father. He reprimands both Christoph and Gertrude for not being with their charge. And then there was the reception and gifts. We got a number of very nice gifts, including multiple magic items, which we're going to go over this time, and also increase his relationship level with Priest Balthasar because we decided to go through that other religion's coming of age ceremony. So we went through all of that. Yeah, and yeah, Christoph looks pretty normal. His own side didn't make him very fancy looking. No, not really. It's just he's much older and a little bit more lithe. That's about it. And we do have the potential for a bard route, or sorcerer route, or warlock route. We've got charisma in spades, based off of our last session, rolling up. So we've got a charisma sitting at 16, which right now is for sure our highest score. We can go ahead and throw it over to you guys. You guys can see Reed's character sheet there. So right now we still got charisma up there. We still have some other things to deal with. We have, we're keeping track of this. I think we're keeping track of the reference document. Where? Here we go, yeah. So charisma is fully up. Strength is fully up, though strength does have a 1 in it, which gives us the ability to re-roll that. We do a level up. Wisdom's also up there, so wisdom's probably also going to be one of our next to best stats, so that kind of gives us an idea of what class Reed's going to actually get to. Again, he's going to gain his first level in class because he's a 0 level character right now. Once we get to his Dominion. Once we get there and kind of like set base camp, he gets the level up. So until then, he has to fully basically rely on these other guys, Christoph and Gertrude, who are our sidekicks, to essentially keep him alive until that happens. I didn't decide if it's the most important or the last thing we did. Yeah, it's certainly the last thing we did. Questionable importance, but probably quite important. Having a 16 to start off in charisma is pretty good. Which I don't think, well, yeah, because we're using 2024 rules. And I don't think I gave him anything, did I? Yeah, I don't think I've assigned him any background points. Yeah, so I haven't assigned any of the +3s from the background yet. Which we'll probably do. So he has the noble background, so we'll kind of give an idea of what that's going to be. Charisma's probably going to be one of those that we drop it into. Wisdom, intelligence, he might just get all the mental stats. Might get a +1 to all of those. We'll see. I was going to divvy those out last once we finally figure out kind of what his actual stats are going to be. which means we might throw him in charisma, but we're not gonna get that +1 in charisma. You know, we'll be a little gamey once we get there, but I'm gonna let that hang for a little bit. And Warlock or Bard, we had a spellcaster. Time for support, I believe. Leader, mostly harmless and chill. Yeah, he could be that. But we can also do a Divine Soul Sorcerer, and that gives us access to healing spells, because it gives us access to the Cleric spell list, if we wanted to go that route. I don't think that Reed has that kind of background. I don't think that makes sense for that character, but it is a potential thing that we could do. All right, so let's drop in with our characters. I'm going to change a little bit. Go ahead and change this over here. I'll take a second. This is a pretty quiet track, if I remember correctly. Let me see, because I might have to turn. Yeah, background the sound up a little bit, just because it's very quiet. So we're gonna meet Interior Glorybend Hall. This is first Hell's Dominion. We're gonna meet back up in there. We're in our private room with Reed. There's a knock upon the door. That knock upon our door will be our two friends being shown in. Just for, if you guys wanted to see what, that's sort of what Reed looks like. He's a halfling, he's relatively young. Got that red eye makeup. You're so lost in all those subclasses already. Yeah. We'll get into it. We don't have to worry about that because we don't get subclasses till like level 3. So we don't need to worry about that now. Just things that we could do. You could also go Artificer depending on how much intelligence he ends up picking up. If we wanted to do that. So there's a rat-a-tat-tat at the door. And Reed peers out. Looks up. There's Kristoff. There's Gertrude. You guys come in. They come in and they have a nice little sit down. Reed calls for one of the servants and asks for them to bring up some of the leftovers from the feast for the two so they can have something to eat. And so that person trundles off down the hall. All right. Well, we have a few things to cover. What happened with the kidnapper? That seems like the most pressing thing, I think. They sit down. Kristoff and Gertrude kind of nod to each other, and they all take a chair around the table. They all sit down and spread out this bloody map that they've seen. Which one of them do we think would go? Which one is a little bit more? I don't think either of them are particularly talky. Both of them are pretty much dead set. So I think Kristoff would lead, because Kristoff already has the more established relationship with them. Well, Baronet Reed, congratulations. I probably should get a different title for Baronet, because we were going to need something that's a little bit more German influence, like everything else that's going on here. But I forgot to do that. So I'm going to write this down here. A little note for myself. Note. So let's get a Proto-Germanic. Stand in for Baronet title. That'll just help me remember to be like, hey, I need to go figure that out. Thanks. The commendation ceremony went well. I think I met with everybody. It seems like we're in a good position. We got lots of great gifts. He kind of points over to, I think there's like a corner of the room that's just like stacked up with a bunch of stuff. Obviously not all the stuff in there, because we have like hundreds and hundreds of pounds and things like that are things that we would need to send for. We have those like 400 days of rations and stuff like that. Like that's not all in his private room, but he has like the magic items and some of the money and spices and stuff like that. Some of the smaller things. For the America subclass for Artificer, because it's stupid and funny. Yeah, it would be very unrealistic for this campaign. But certainly funny. So, yeah, we can look at those, but yeah, tell me about the kidnapper. yourself kind of like clear your throat. Yes. So we followed the path, and unfortunately it's very dark. By the time we got to the meeting place in question, he like smooths out the map and like points to the tree, the like spirit tree. And once we got to this place noted on the map with the totems and things on it, there were a bunch of people there that they had to have had some sort of conversation either before or after they attempted kidnapping, and then but by the time there, it seemed like they figured out that somebody was hot on their trails, and they wandered off into the darks. And at that point, we felt like we should probably make our way back to them in case. Never knew if they were gonna circle back. They come back and try to get you while we were off chasing them. So luckily, by the time we got back, the sun was up, your vigil was over, and you had been taken in. We spoke with your father on the way back in. It seems like there's a question about your continued safety here. I think it would be prudent maybe if we expedited moving out to the marches, northern marches, as fast as possible. I think it sounds like you have enemies here in the castle town, which gives them a lot of opportunity to do something. Did your what do I call you? Your Grace? Did your Grace know? Does your Grace know of anybody who might be out there to hurt you? Who stands in the way of the plans of your family? He kind of holds up the map, and his fingers like trace the blood marks that are on there, and remembering that the guy that died. I mean, there's certainly people who don't like us. Like me, and I mean us as in my family. And we have a few, and we pull down here. People that I know that are intended most notably is Custodian Austria. They say that, but he actually gave me this very nice gift. It was very, toothless, sort of, in our meeting. There was a priest Balthasar as well, but actually move him. But I think doing the vigil was helpful. He seemed to be much warmer to us. He gave me a very nice knife. So, but Osrier, yeah. He like gets up and hustles over to the things and pulls out a jar. Probably, I mean, I guess the jar is like that size. Pretty big, because I think the biggest thing that comes in is 4 gallons. It's the alchemy jug. It's a big jug. Like crock jug. He gave me this. It seems like it's probably magical. I don't know. The gift doesn't seem to. The gift and the attitude of Osrier doesn't really mesh with what my expectations. So I don't really know. Man, I really wish we'd learned something more about the kidnapping. Though it does seem like there is a conspiracy, that there are multiple people involved. It wasn't just a single person behind this, potentially. And that's when Gertrude will sort of speak up. I recognized one of the attempted kidnappers. She is also a fellow druid. I could perhaps find out more information. She is known to us. Which is a good question. So let's figure out a little bit about that, because she's gonna know this person. So we know, I think we determined that this person was a tiefling already. So we know that they are a tiefling female. So we can go ahead and throw that in there. All right, kidnapper debrief. And so we know that that is a female tiefling. Let's do this. Sometimes I like to do this one. We'll do a color picker. Let's do it again. There we go. We'll go off of that, and we'll kind of say sort of tiefling. We're gonna give them like this hay yellow skin tone. And we need a name for them. So let's go. I need to ask, hey, is this going to be like a Germanic name? I think that's extremely likely based off of where we are. So +5 to that. We get 11 or higher. 10 plus 5 is going to be 15. So that's going to put us in the yes column. So I'm going to open up and open. Reese files. Here we go. I need Xanathars. There we go. So we need Jamal. Let him drown in his own blood. Hopefully not. I'd like for him to stick around for a while. Agatha. No, that's French. I'm looking at the French names. Afra. All right. Afra. So a female tiefling, hay yellow skin tone. We could roll up some more stuff about them. Do they have any sort of? That's one of the things that I was working more on. Do they have any like determining physical features? I don't know. Do they? They do. Okay. What is the best way to do this? I was gonna pull out my resource, but I don't know if I can do that. Let me do it this way. Let me swatch this. You know what? I'm just gonna use this here because I gotta look for this real quick. Because I got like a little chart generator thing to give us something. No, not this one. I really got to redo this sheet. I really want something that's going to be. There we go. Here's distinguishing features. All right, I got to roll a d6. A d6. I rolled a 2. Okay, we can close their flower now. Was this one? Nope. So I rolled a 2, so they've got some sort of low ability score, so something that they're kind of known for. 3. Oh, they're like milquetoast, so they're really boring. So they ain't got a lot of charisma. Which I think, they have a. We'll go ahead and put milquetoast in here. They have, just means they have low charm. Which means I wondered what kind of druid they might be, but that seems like they're probably also a lore keeper because of that low charisma rating. It means that they're not like a bard or an ovate or somebody like that who does a little bit more performance-based kind of stuff. They're probably a lore keeper. Actually, I'll just put it here. And then I just want to do one little confirmation. Are they a full lore keeper? I think so. So +3. Yeah. Okay, so they're a full lore keeper, so they're not like an acolyte or something like that. He can drown later. He just needs to drown eventually. And our friends, help us. Help us, our plant friends. Absolutely. Great. So she's like, her name is Afra. She is a lore keeper, like myself. I don't know how she got tied up in this. But certainly she is not the mastermind behind it. She's clearly working for somebody else. So now we're gonna do. Let's do like a. I'll give it either. It's either gonna be an insight check for her, which she's not trained in, so just a flat d20, or I can let her do a history check, but I think she has to do it with disadvantage. Simply because I wanted to figure out, like, hey, have you heard anybody say anything about Reed's commendation? You know, any hubbub, because she is from the same place that this Afro person is from. Her insight's not great, so I don't think she's particularly good at reading people, which makes sense when that's kind of Gertrude's setup. But history, maybe she just remembers something. This is like full just mental recall, rather than trying to read people. Like, did you just hear somebody say something offhand as you were walking around? So disadvantage, we're going to take the low roll. Didn't really matter, neither of those are very good. Now we get to add 5 to that, so it's still an 8. So it's still in the realm of possibilities. Unfortunately, that DC is a 10. We were real close. That 1 and 2 makes it a 5 base, plus 5 again is 10. Oi. Oh, we nearly had it. Okay, so she's like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. Okay. You know, we've got Kristoff kind of doing a convincing thing. How does Gertrude feel about it? Does Gertrude think that they should leave as well? Gertrude is involved in her success. Does know that there's people around here, so I think that that's an easy sell. So I think give Kristoff, and just to see how persuasive Kristoff is in this moment, to be like, no, really, we need to like leave and be careful. I'll take that. So that's a straight up 15. What's our boy's insight? Pretty low. How do we do that? Because having a low number actually be good. Alright. Let's roll insight for him. Pretty good. Alright, so even just a +1 for his wisdom. Oh no, he is trained in insight. Never mind. So he gets +3 to that. So 18, yeah. So Reed is very receptive. I forgot that Reed has good wisdom and charisma skills. He's a very talky kind of character. Very, he's got a lot of social graces. We already had a time in which those events became a history. It was fast. Yeah. Well, this is like her trying to remember things prior to leaving. I am so blanking on that place's name. It's not important. The place where she was a lore keeper. That's the only thing important part. Alright. I hear you too. It sounds like this is a true threat. I think that I will rely on your best judgment that we should be incredibly careful from here on out. In the morning, I think first thing, let's start planning. Actually, we can plan our trip tonight. Let's start to get our provisions and everything together tomorrow, bright and early, to make our way out of the castle town. I think that's for the best. I think you're correct. Even know that they would even attempt that with under the prince's roof, and also with my own father here, shows a lot of gall. In other words, another point of view, you might call that courage or bravery. You might also call it desperation. Okay. Well, thank you for everything you've done so far. And obviously, thank you for foiling the kidnapping. Thank you. That's incredibly important. I don't think I actually thanked you too. I wouldn't be here without you two. So thank you very much. Buff kind of nods. Reed looks around. So one thing that we should look through the gifts. Maybe you can help me make the. I've got a list here that I've sort of put the list of everything that we've received. I've received, sorry, and hopefully you, two of you, especially you, Gertrude, can help us make the most of what it is and try to figure out how we use those supplies. But first, one of the things I did get that I do want to make sure that get handed out to you guys is you get these traveler's clothes. And made for us. Who gave us the traveler's clothes? Oh, we saved this Kuhn. Yeah, so that makes sense. She knows exactly. Wasaith's Kuhn knows exactly the 3 people. So these are all going to be fitted to them. So we don't have to worry about them not fitting or anything like that, because you have small creatures and medium creatures and Saurian, who's already a little bit bigger. So they're going to each that. So we're going to go ahead and put those on here. So he has fine clothes, and now he has traveler's clothes. Traveler's clothes? Yeah, traveler's clothes. And we'll add them too, because these guys technically don't have anything on them yet. We just add them on here. No! Okay, sorry, let me do that. That's fine. I couldn't remember if it would let me do that or not. It's not. I can't write directly on there. That's okay. I'll make a note for it. We've got this whole note section. To sidekick inventories. None of the sidekicks, like most D&D monsters, don't actually tell you what kind of clothes they're wearing. So I was like, I assume they're just wearing kind of basic clothes. These traveler clothes are kind of a step up, even though mechanically, as far as D&D like 5e24 is concerned, they don't do anything. Traveler clothes don't really do anything. The idea being that, like, oh, well, no, they've got nice cloaks and good boots and all that stuff. Kind of smart behavior. I guess his father gave him a leadership buff by default. It's really from being raised under the prince and being raised at the prince's court. That, yeah, kind of gives him this idea of, like, understanding, seeing another young person in power and how they manage that. And he's just sort of, he has enough of that insight that he's trained in, and he has history and persuasion that he's kind of like just soaking up those courtly values and figuring out how he can use them for himself. All right, we'll go ahead and do that on these commendation gifts. I'm going to go ahead and, what is it? Also 5. So we've already done that one. Did I forget to put the other stuff down there? Maybe I did. Because Kuhn also gave us well, where did I put it? I know it's on here. I'm staring right at it. Because we know that she also gave us a 15 platinum purse. I can't remember when I was totaling everything up if I just did that. It looks like maybe I just did that. I don't see a lot of other gold in here that would put us to where we need to be on that. Yeah, I can assume that that's just the full purse then. That just for ease, I busted down to just gold. I'm good with that. All right. So, we kind of pulls them over and says, so we have a number of things to get through. I figured we'd do this. Where do you guys want to start? It looks like we have a number of just basic things. He pulls out a small coffer, like a small strong box. Opens up. There's quite a bit of currency that we got. I think that would be helpful for getting us the things that we need on our journey. In addition to that, First Health was very kind to give us this, and he pulls up like a little spice box to help trade once we get into the marches with any locals that might be there. We've got a few other things here noted down. And on the list that aren't in the room, we have some iron ingots. Actually, the iron ingots might be in the room. It's 75 pounds, so it's a bunch. It's like a stack of ingots. So we've got those. That'll be useful for crafting. We'll need some way to turn those raw materials into tools and useful materials, nails and horseshoes and all those sorts of things. I don't suppose either of you are particularly skilled with blacksmithing, which I know the answer is going to be no, but we'll look at Gertrude. Gertrude would be the only person who would know that. Hey, what do you know? She's not. Christoph is also not. Christoph is... yeah, he doesn't have any tools. He's skills only kind of boy. Gertrude kind of shakes her head. Christoph goes, no, but we'll certainly be able to find some local craftspeople. Once we get there, we can set up a smithy that will help us turn those into anything, nails and anything else we need. Shouldn't be too difficult. It looks like we have a lot of grain generously given us by Baron Kungund, as well as a significant amount of rations. This should be good enough, I think, my lord, to carry us through the year. Certainly for the three of us, plus any other people we might bring into the lands that can help. Excellent. Look at that. Be like, what else do we have? We have this, and he pulls out, massive like bolts of canvas. Looking at it and being like, well, these will be useful for bivouacking and doing all sorts of things. And like, Gertrude's gonna grab it and be like, yes, these would be fine. I will figure out. We'll pick up some beeswax or oils or something that we can use to waterproof the outsides, and we can make these into tents, and that should work. Cover tarpaulins to cover things, keep things dry during the specifically during the spring rains. Okay, yeah, no, that sounds good. Hey, how you doing, Ford? 64 ingots, got it. Almost 9 iron. Ooh. When you have respect without being or doing anything exceptional, hey, such is the prominence of their birth, and the wheeling and dealing of their family. Here's some there. We have a few other things. This is the knife that Balthasar gave me. First off, I'll take it, open it up, and be like, we'll give him a look. Does he know what this thing is? I think that's kind of unlikely. Oh, he does. Okay, interesting. Even if it had been -5, he knew it. So he's gonna look at it and be like, this is their god that is in charge of craft and civilization and society and things like that. Constructs of what it means to be a group, a civilization, a society, a clan, whatever. Yeah, no, that's right. No, honestly, I'll take all the help I can get at this point. So, it's not really my belief. Maybe those gods will help us out. Yeah, we'll take that. Which gets us everything except basically all our magic items. Now, in addition to that, we have some things that I don't really know what they do. Hopefully, one of you will be able to help me, because he's not trained in Arcana at all. Not at all. So he has no idea what any of these magic items are. Oh, nice. You just got home from the gym. We're gonna thank you for our campaign. Oh, nice. You're running something. Cool. We were supposed to play last night, but it got canceled last minute. Not last minute, but our campaign got canceled, which was Always sucks. But I'm going to be playing tomorrow, which is always nice. Concept of union. For the maker, yes. Yeah, he's kind of like that. In addition to, like, being a forge god about actual crafting things. So Kristoff's not going to be super useful here, but Gertrude does have at least a... Actually, she's got a +5 in Arcana. So she's like, it'll take me some time to probably understand what these are. I'll need some good studying. But certainly we can take a look at it. Which one would you like me to look at first? So we've got a few things. I think the healing potions are pretty self-explanatory. And we'll go ahead and I'm going to leave that in the note for myself. Down. Go that, and we're going to be healing potion beside pick inventories. There we go. So we'll add one to reads. So usually we put them up here because I'll never use these personality traits and stuff in the bonds and flaws. I just don't ever use them. I find them a little simplistic. It's just not anything I've ever found useful for playing a character in 5e or 2024. So healing pot has 1 now. Usually that's what I use those spots for, is putting healing potions up there that I want to track, or other sorts of potions or scrolls and stuff like that. I use that upper area. Track of it. On the character sheet. Alright. I'll need to add them. You'll keep it singular. That won't be confusing for me, I don't think. Yeah, so which one do we want to look at first? It's gonna really... Because I know that something bad's going to happen with one of these. I know that. As the player / GM in a solo kind of game. But they don't know that. So this is our, what is it called? Dramatic irony. So it's like, I know something bad's going to happen, but my characters don't know anything's going to happen. That's going to happen yet. All right. So now we've got 4 things that are magical, or he's probably been told that they are magical. So we're just going to roll a d4, and that's going to determine which one of those we look at first. You're the party mechanic. You're currently workshopping an idea for your buddy's character to give him gear to heavily boost his agility and make it so as a melee fighter he can go after airborne targets more easily. There's like the boots of springing and jumping. You can probably do like a riff off of that, maybe. Or gives him the ability to like use that and maybe get like a little feather fall off of it so he doesn't just fall 30 feet down and take 3d6 damage. We'll die in 1 hit, but at least we have a healing potion. Yeah. We're first level and read 0 level, so you know things are still rough. Things can be real rough. If we get into a scrape, it's not great. Not great at all. I rolled a 2, right? I believe that's what I rolled. The Mythalar bracelet. So she's gonna sit down and take a look at the Mythalar bracelet, which I believe is uncommon. So let's take a look at that real quick. I'm just gonna go ahead and open that in a new tab. 3 small crystal beads made from a decommissioned Mythalar are strung on this leather bracelet. As a magic action, you can pluck 1 bead from the bracelet to gain advantage on strength athletics checks for 1 minute. The bead disappears immediately after it's plucked. Once all 3 beads have been plucked, the bracelet loses its magic. This is a common item, so I think that the DC is going to be relatively low for her to identify that. Yeah, that's almost as low as you can get. So that's a 6. So she actually cannot fail this. She has a +5. But just for consists of being like, if she did, for whatever reason, roll a natural one, like, it takes her, like, the full hour to really study it to figure out what the hell's going on with this thing. But that's pretty unlikely. Oh, did I roll a 1? That's right. She didn't roll a 1. So, it still takes her a little bit of time, but it identifies it, so she looks at it and goes, okay. Each of these beads can be crushed to improve our strength, or improve the wearer's strength for a small burst of power. Interesting. I think knowing that, we figure out that who we're going to give that to. It makes sense. Kristoff's only got a +2. She's got a +1. Reed's got a +1 as well. I think we'll give it, since we don't have anybody particularly strong in the party at this point, we're going to give it to Kristoff. So go ahead and put that down in here. We're going to add our bracelet to Kristoff. So I think they look at it and Reed kind of goes, well, if anybody is going to need strength, I think that'll be you, Kristoff. So consider this a gift from me to you. Hands to it. Thank you, Lord. Puts it on. All right, I will use this sparingly and only in the greatest need. Of course. All right, so the Mythalar bracelet's going to go to Kristoff. We're going to go ahead and bold that. Remember, that's a magic item. That was a common one. That was going to be pretty easy to identify. All right, since I rolled a 1, we'll now do the 1. We'll go back and do the 1. All right, so we did this guy. Which means it's the Eyes of the Eagle. Eyes of the Eagle, I believe, is uncommon. Yeah, that's uncommon. So that's going to be probably a little bit more difficult for her to take a look at. And the rest of them are kind of like going over, trying to figure out what they're going to do. It sounded like mocking. Maybe. I think I was trying to play it off as Kristoff is kind of unsure of what to say. But yeah, you definitely could have sounded mocking for sure. Alright, she's going to take a look at this. So I think this is going to be a little bit harder. Do a roll. Yeah. Alright, so that's DC 15. That sounds appropriate. She needs a 10 or better. She gets a 15. So that's dirty 20. If anyone would need strength, it's you. oh, from his side. Yeah. More as in his role as the, like, bodyguard. If anybody would need the strength, it would be him. But yeah, it could go, like, he is obviously the strongest person in the room. It would be weird to call him weak. But yeah, no, I get your point, Sans. All right, so she is able to identify the Eyes of the Eagle. All right, and these cylinders. So it's gonna look like, I'm thinking like the ye olde medieval, like Witcher 3 spectacles, where it's just kind of like the loop, and then you have like the string that like goes over your ears and stuff. And it gives you advantage on wisdom checks that rely on sight. Conditions of clear visibility, you make out details of even extremely distant creatures and objects as small as 2 feet across. Who should that go to? My initial thought is probably Kristoff as well, as he's kind of the sneaky, scouty kind of guy. Even though, right, he's not trained in stealth, but he does have perception. She also has perception, but she's not as good at it. Or we could save it for Reed, who doesn't have perception. He's actually the worst at perception. I mean, my thought is to give it to Reed, or not to Reed, to Kristoff, but I don't want to give all the magic items to Kristoff. I mean, obviously he won't get the alchemy jug. That's probably going to go to Gertrude. I don't know. What do you think? When in doubt, let's leave it up to chance. So I think we'll just do a standard pyramid tier. Be like, okay, I think there's about a 50% chance, so 1 through 3, that's going to go to Christoph. 4 or 5 is going to go to Gertrude. And if I roll a 6, Reed's going to keep it. It goes to Christoph. So they also decide to hand that off to Christoph as well. Well, you are a scout as well, so this would be perhaps best used in your hands. And Eyes of the Eagle. Christoph. Since he is, again, kind of our scouty kind of person. Scout and bodyguard, so he's kind of our fighter, rangery kind of person. And there's nobody in our party is particularly stealthy. But he does have that thing where he does have Mask of the Wild, where it's like, as long as there's some sort of natural occlusion, some sort of natural concealment or obscurement, that he's able to basically be invisible. Or he's able to hide, sorry. For now. If anyone would need strength, it's you. For now. Yeah, we'll see. There's still a chance that we'll roll up Reed's strength and he'll end up being a big beefy boy, but it's unlikely. Alright, which is, what does that leave us? I think that just leaves us with the 1, right? I can close these out. Why don't I have these tabs still open? Get out of here. Sorry. There we go. Alright, so, we've got that guy. Alright, so which are we going to look at next? If it's roll low, it's going to be the... yep, okay. Rolled low, so we're going to save the best for last. So we're going to look at the Horn of Silent Alarm. Again, another one that kind of sounds like it probably should go to Christoph. But I think that most likely... we'll probably end up giving that to Reed, because he would be the person who would be calling for help. So it makes sense that maybe he would have that. He would have the horn to be able to let other people know that things are in danger. Because he would be the one who's trying to summon people to his aid, most likely. Alright, the Horn of Silent Alarm, I believe, is common. Is indeed. So the DC for this should be relatively low. I think it's probably going to be like a... We'll see. I may knock it down. Let's see what we get. Yeah, it's definitely not a 16. Let's roll again. Wait, just... Yeah, it's not going to be a 15. So I'm going to knock that down to 10. I think it's 10 to understand what this is. She has a pretty good shot. Yeah, that's another dirty 20. She absolutely understands what this is. This is one that I am quite familiar with, actually. This is a Horn of Silent Alarm. Your Grace, I think this would be best used in your hands. It allows you to alert someone silently within a certain range, that is, what, 600 feet. So it gives the ability to... Horn has 4 charges, it regains 1d4 per day. As magic action, you can use it a bunch in the day, which is super useful. You blow the horn while expending 1 charge. One creature of your choice hears the horn's blare, provided that creature is within 600 feet of the horn. No other creature hears the horn. This is another one like, oh, maybe somebody's taking me hostage or captured. Maybe I can blow on this sneaky like, or if I feel like I'm getting in trouble, I can actually use it and somebody will come get me. Either Gertrude or Christoph can show up and get me. Help me. So yeah, we'll add him. We'll get the Horn of Silent Alarm. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put it down here. 1, 2, 3, 4 per day. We'll have the Horn of Silent Alarm as well. That's a good one for him to get. You are weak, you are blind, get all of that and be more than what you are. That means useful. Does that count as vicious mockery? It might count as vicious mockery. It might. It's certainly deflating. Demoralizing. And so, we save the best for last. I'm going to give us a luck check here. we were able to communicate that, hey, this area is dangerous. This one person that I expected to be kind of bad and terrible towards us was surprisingly tepid, and then gave me what seems like a really good gift. So I think that their like ears are up. Their ears are up. This is a strange thing. There's a warning here. So there's a chance that actually, you know what? It's just gonna be an investigation check, because I think that they are going to look at this as if it might be dangerous, because they're like, the stuff just isn't adding up here. So you have an opportunity to maybe not have this thing happen, which would be nice, because things could go real bad real fast if we fail this, because there is a trap on this item. So I think Lordkeeper Gertrude is the person who's in charge. She's the one who's trying to figure stuff out. So I think it makes sense for her to either make an Arcana check or investigation check. They're both the same. Would somebody else help her with that? I don't think anybody else is trained in investigation. Kind of help with that. Nope, they're not. Alright. So, she grabs the alchemy jug. She's going to take a look at it. We're going to set a DC. And that is going to be the DC we're going to have to make, regardless of what it is. Alright, that DC is 14. That's not an impossible DC. She has all the right things to understand this, which is basically that she has medicine as well as her herbalism kit. Both of those things could be used to determine poison. Reed, you're a pretty face, but you're weak as shit. Be safe. Yeah. When things start happening, go and hide. Please go hide under the cart or something. Crawl under the crawl space of the house. Hide under the bed. You are not a fighter. Not yet. Alright, so we got a 14. So she needs to get a 9. She's got no help. Nobody else can help her with this. Boy. Alright. Hey, we knew it was going to be a risk. It'd be a good time for Bardic Inspiration. Is that right? Yeah, it is right. It would be a good time for Bardic Inspiration, or a portent roll, or some sort of re-roll ability, or something to add, or get the help action, or guidance. She didn't guidance herself. Technically, she could have guidance herself. So maybe they changed it in 2024, where I don't think you can actually put guidance on yourself anymore. Or maybe you can. Actually, don't remember. Because I'm not playing a character that has guidance right now. Willing creature. That can be you. Until that spell ends, the creature adds 1d4 to any ability check using the chosen skill. So she could have done that. Regardless, even if she adds a d4 to it, that can't get her to 9. So she fails that. Which means that she opens up the jug and poison gas starts spilling out of it. So she's going to take the hit right to the face. And then everybody else is going to take the save. So I think she's going to have the save at disadvantage. Let's bring up Belith. Baelith? Belith. The Breath of Belith. It is a poison. It was really hard choosing a poison because I knew it was going to be trapped. But most of the poisons are just like, it does XD6 amount of damage. Hey, I got guys with like 5 hit points. It's like, this would just straight up kill them. That's not interesting or fun. But this one gives us something, because it's more of a psychoactive thing that it does. So, what's the DC? DC 15 con save. Okay. So, Lordkeeper Gertrude's gonna get it right off the bat. I'm going to give her disadvantage because she's basically going to take this thing right to the dome. She's going to open up the alchemy jug and it's going to right immediately in her face. So she's got a +2, but she's got disadvantage. So both of these have to be a 13 or higher. Well, she already failed. Yeah, that one would have passed. So she fails. We'll do Reed next because Reed's probably nearby. Actually, they're both nearby. Alright, his con save is -1, so he needs to roll a 16. Oh, so close. Oh, he's so close. That's tough. Alright. Well, he fails as well. Christoph has a +1, so he needs to roll a 14. Oh, no. Oh, we just barely missed it for both of them. I mean, Gertrude was gonna get domed, whatever. Like, that was gonna happen, but they're all gonna fall subject to it. That's not good. This is really, really bad. Great. This is why I didn't do, like, a straight damage poison. Because that would have been really bad real quick. Alright, so, the Breath of Belith, when inhaled, a creature who breathes in the same space as the open container of the substance must succeed at a DC 15 Constitution saving throw, or have the poison condition for 1 minute. So we're going to go ahead and hop over here, go down to our session tracker. Alright, so here's what happens. So they do the kidnapper debrief. I forgot to do that part. That's fine. We did the kidnapper debrief. Learned some stuff about Afra, and we did the commendation view. Pulled out the magic items, and everyone gets poisoned by the alchemy drug. If I can spell jug. All right, and that is the Belith. All right, so here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna create some space here, and we're gonna roll initiative. Is what we're gonna do first. Let's roll initiative. My boy Reed coming in with a hot -2 to make that 17 of 15. All right, well he's going on 15. All right, 15 is Reed. What about Christoph? Christoph's got a pretty good one. Not when he rolls like that. Alright, so he's got a 5. Great. And what about baby girl Gertrude? 17. And she gets no bonus to that. So she's up first. Luckily, poisoned condition only affects our checks and does not affect our ability to save out of the poison condition. And I believe we get the opportunity to redo it at the end of our turns. Or have the condition for 1 minute. Substance succeeded DC 15 Constitution. Or have the poison condition for 1 minute. Must use the dash action to move away. If it cannot move away, must back action. Very interesting. I don't know if this is correct or not. This seems like, so almost every time that you get an effect like this, any spell, because I can't think of anyone that really doesn't do this, where it's, you don't get an opportunity to resave out of it. Because 1 minute is a ton of time. Like, that's a ton of time. That's 10 combat rounds. Which, if you're spending it totally dashing, if a creature moves within 5 feet of a creature poisoned in this way, the poisoned creature must use the dash action on its turn to move away. If it cannot move away, it must instead use the attack action against the adjacent creature. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to say that they can save out of this because this seems weird. I think that's... I don't know if this is a mistype or not. So I am going to give them the ability to try to save out of it. I don't think they should just be poisoned for 1 minute. And the truth is, like, they'll be able to run away. I don't think that this will cause too much of an issue. Because they're not locked in this room that we know of. So we're going to go with that DC 15. Get out of that. But it doesn't do any direct damage to us, which is good. Because if it did, our party would just be dead. So luckily we didn't do that. Yeah, we're absolutely effed. Alright. Start of the turn. Gertrude, bah! Takes us to the face. Shakes her head. Looks at Reed and Kristoff, who are... This is a relatively small room. We're going to be pretty close to them, if not directly next to them. Let's say, you know, is one of them next to him? I think that's extremely likely. But the answer is no. So she actually backs her way into a corner and is like, stay away from me. And she pulls her... What did she... Didn't she have a dagger? No, she just has her staff, I think. So she'll grab her staff and sort of back herself into a corner to try to, like, keep them at arm's length. So she didn't start next to anybody, so she's fine. Because as long as she moved away, she's not next to somebody, she doesn't have to dash to move away. What position the creature has a frightened condition? Oh, and is hostile to all creatures it can see. Okay, so she can back herself into a corner because she didn't move up against one of these creatures. So it wasn't adjacent to a creature. If a creature moves within 5 feet of a creature with the poison this way, only then must they run away. They're frightened, and frightened means that they... Oh no, so the frightened means that they just can't willingly move closer. Okay. Alright, that's fine. Yeah, there's a chance they could be locked in the room. If somebody was really knowing that this was going to happen, they would probably try to lock them in that room together. So we don't know. We won't know that until somebody tries the door. Okay, so Gertrude backed herself into a corner holding her staff out. That's perfectly fine. She just can't get closer to anybody. She doesn't have to attack anybody. So she finagles her way into a corner because she wasn't next to anybody. Alright. It's the end of her turn. She'll make a save. Oy. Hachi-machi. Alright. Well, girl, sorry. I wish those ones were on Reed. At least Reed could re-roll those ones. Being a halfling, that would be nice. Alright, well, that's her. So she's Gertrude. Backed into a corner. Being defensive. Alright, Reed. So, the question is Reed starting next to Kristoff? I think that's extremely likely, so +5. Yeah, sure is. Can he... That's good for us. That's good. That means he's just gonna try to give him a little pop. Oh my gosh. Why is my stuff dropping? Alright. We're back yet? No, having a little bit of difficulty. I think we're good. Sorry about that. Seemed like it had some screen buffering issues for whatever reason. Alright. Catch back up. He does not have a weapon in his hand, which means that he's going to be able to just kind of... He's just got to take a swing at Kristoff. He's going to hit Kristoff, but he's just going to take a swing at Kristoff. Go back to full screen. There we go. So he takes a swing on Kristoff and hits him. Has not great strength. He has a 1, right? You just do strength mod damage, I believe. Or is it 1 plus your strength mod? It's 1 plus your strength mod, right? So 2 points of damage. So Kristoff's going to go down to... he has 14 hit points, so he's going to go down to 12. Level 14 HP. So he did that because he can't move. Oh, actually, he has disadvantage on that, doesn't he? Yeah, and attack rolls. Okay. So he's actually going to take the lesser. Oh, so he's totally not going to hit him. That's great. So they're just going to kind of swing at each other wildly. Okay, this might not be as terrible as I was thinking it could have been. Okay. because they're all going to have disadvantage on their attacks because there's only poison people in the room, which is good. If we had someone with high charisma who could be able to deal with all of that. Definitely not Reed, for sure. I'm not even looking at him. Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know any of that stuff. So Reed takes a swing, misses. But that uses his action, so he can't disengage to move away. That's right. He could just move through his square, but he can't move any closer. The friend condition actually makes this less terrible than I thought it would be. Actually, in that way, it actually made this a lot easier. Definitely would be harder if you used it on the enemy, if you were in a conflict with somebody else. But when it's all your friends and you're all poisoned, it's actually not as big a deal, which is good. Good. So maybe this means that whoever was doing this maybe didn't really exactly know what they were trying to do. They're trying to make sure that it's not super clear as to what happens. We can talk about that in a minute. All right, that's the end of Reed's turn. Reed needs to make his save. Reed gets he shakes his head, and he is no longer poisoned. Wait, what? Sorry, what? Why am I taking a swing at you? All right, he is no longer poisoned. Adjacent. However, Kristoff very much still is poisoned. And Reed just took a swing at him. But Kristoff has an open way to get to the door, so he is actually going to disengage, I think. Yeah, he's going to disengage. And move away. Well, technically he's supposed to dash, right? If only it has to use the dash action. He starts his turn. The creature didn't actually move up to him, but he's starting right next to somebody. So I think in that same cast, he would have to dash. Luckily, Reed is no longer poisoned, so Reed's not going to take a swing at him. So he's going to move away. He's going to dash away to the door and try to unlock the door. So he's going to go to the door. Can he get the door open? I assume that they locked the door from the inside, so he can unlock that. The question is there anything keeping him from going outside? I think that's 50-50. I think somebody could have set up the situation knowing what was going to happen. The answer is no. But I'm going to treat that as a no but. Because it's right on the cusp. So the answer is no, he can get out the door. But the poison's really screwing with his mind, and he's got that fight or flight mode where he's you watch a horror movie where somebody's trying to, you have Jason Voorhees or whatever, like walking up slowly next to the car, and you have the person who can't seem to get the keys in the car and open it and start the car. Same sort of situation. Like he's all thumbs. He can't get the door unlocked and opened. So he's still freaking out. He's fully freaking out trying to get this door open, trying to which is very funny when they turn around and look at the object of his fear is this, 3 foot nothing, like 15-year-old halfling kid that this like hardened older warrior is terrified of for whatever reason, because of the poison. But he does get an opportunity to make his save. Oh my gosh, how many natural ones are we gonna roll? All right, so he's fully out of it. All right, so he is trying to make his way out. You know what? Let's go ahead and just give him a dexterity check. Did he get it? Okay, yeah. So he fumbles with it, but doesn't get the door open. That is the end of his turn. He gets the door open, but he doesn't move out yet. Hey, what's going on, Dragos? How does the solo campaign work? Are you both player and DM? Yeah, sort of. You're kind of DM. If you're watching me where I'm doing these things where I'm asking questions and rolling, you do a thing that's called like a Game Master Oracle. So anytime that you have questions about stuff that's in the setting, you do a dice roll and let the dice decide whether the answers to those questions are yes or no. And you use them in addition to things like these guys right here, which is a prompt table to kind of give you spark table for ideas and things of what might be happening. That's essentially how it works. Otherwise, it's just like plain straight D&D. There were no assassins outside, though. Correct. All right. Let's Like well, he already rolled his save. He is well poisoned. All right, so he's still crawling into his. Gertrude's backed into the corner. Gertrude doesn't actually need to go anywhere because nobody's moved closer to her. In fact, Reed's back is to her, I assume, because Kristoff has. Reed's in the sort of like middle of the room. And Kristoff has opened the door. And it's probably about to flee out the door, honestly. Alright, she's backed up. She does see that thing. Technically, because the frightened condition actually makes this way easier than it otherwise would be. Otherwise, she would be compelled to probably attack Reed while he's got his back turned on her. But because of that, she can't actually move any closer. But she could fire off a spell. Even though she's going to have disadvantage. So, yeah, she's gonna throw off a radiant flame, because that she doesn't have to get any closer for. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. So that's +5 to hit. She still does have disadvantage because of the frightened condition. But she doesn't have to move closer to do this. 9 + 5, 14. And that almost assuredly hits Reed. Yeah, with his armor class of 8, it sure does. She zaps him real good for, I think it's a D6. Right, isn't that one radiant? She might just absolutely nail him right here. 2d6 radiant. Oh boy. Here we go. Yeah, we're sort of at the RNG God's mercy, which we're about to find out right now. Look. Our boy Reed, our primary PC, has 5 hit points. That's all he got. 2d6. Gonna average to 7 hit points of radiant damage. This is probably just gonna straight up knock him out. Let's see. Oh, just barely though. Alright, just barely. It could have just straight up killed him. Luckily it did not. But he goes down like a sack of potatoes. And pop! She blasts him with radiant energy in the back of his head, and Reed goes down like a sack of potatoes. And he's at full 0-0. Frazier's down. Frazier's down. Alright. Well, that's not great. So she blasts him in the back. And he crumples over in the middle of the room. She'll make her save at the end of the turn. And of course, she continues to roll low. Alright. Well, that's her. Hey, guess whose turn it is? Guess who's gonna do a death saving throw? Oh, this is not looking good. Not looking good. That's a failure on the death save. Not great. Not great. Good campaign. We'll see you in the next one. It could still very much happen. Hey, we knew it was going to be poison. We knew it was going to be terrible. So, once we get to the bottom of the round, we'll throw a Hail Mary at the RNG gods and see if somebody hears all this stuff and comes running. There is a chance that there are guards. We are in a castle. There are guards around. And we just thrown open the door and started making a bunch of ruckus, casting spells and stuff. Alright, but that's Reed. And he's downed. Kristoff has opened the door. I think at this point, question is like, because the way the doorways work is like, can he actually see Gertrude at this point? There's a chance he might not. Can he see Gertrude? I think it's pretty likely. Oh, actually no. So he's broken line of sight with Gertrude. Which means that actually he loses... is how the fear condition works. Is you have, as long as they're in the line of sight, you have disadvantage on all this stuff. So if we break line of sight, we don't have that. I don't know how helpful that is right now, but it means that we don't have to run away. But we do watch guy plant down on the ground. Guy who took a swing at us. So currently, we don't have anybody around that we can see that we have to run from. So, does he take the dodge action or does he keep moving? Because he doesn't have to move at this point. So I think he just takes the dodge action. I think at this point, question, did he move? Did he grab his sword? He's a practice warrior. I think he probably grabbed his sword. So, yeah, okay, he did. So he unlimbers shield and sword. So he's ready to fight, and he's going to take technically the dodge action because he needs to see what threat's coming. But also is not going to call for the guards because of the poison condition. It's very strange. But he's going to roll for that right now. Come on. Big monies. Big monies. We really need a 15 or better. Come on. He can get it. All right. Well, and we certainly don't have the kind of pluses that would make that work. So, Christoph, still at the end. So, it's the bottom of the round. Can you give us a little Hail Mary? So, we'll just be like... So, we've made a bit of a ruckus. Knocked somebody out. Bell got shot off. People are yelling at each other. Does somebody hear that and come a-running? Somebody does. Great. Will they arrive right now? Yes. Alright, so somebody's going to flow into the scene. Somebody's going to flow into the scene. I assume... So I think there's a chance it's guards. I assume there's a chance that it's servants. There's a chance that it's maybe one of the other people who are staying at the castle. So since that's the case, we got 3 different things. We're going to do a little pyramid again. 1 through 3, it's going to be guards. 4, 5, it's going to be a servant. 6, it's going to be one of our VIPs. Ooh, guard. Just one guard? Question? Yes, just one guard. So one card comes running up. Christoph. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Because he's clearly pulled out weapons and armor. And as he runs in, of course, I'll give them an insight check for the guards. I'm going to give them disadvantage because this would be a very weird situation. Didn't need it anyways. They're not going to pass that. They realize something's wrong with this guy. Because as soon as they get up to this guy, he's going to turn around and attack them, unfortunately. But that's what they do. But they come up trying to render aid and trying to grab Christoph and figure out what's going on. And it probably puts hands on Christoph, actually, trying to move him out of the doorway, trying to figure out what's going on. Figure out what's going on. That's the end of the round. So we're back up to Gertrude. Gertrude's in the corner. We already said that she does not have line of sight on anybody. So she's probably not going to do anything except take the sense of action. So that was the end of big swing move. That's the end of round 2, right? So which means that I'm going to put this actually at the top. 3 of 10, because it can go all the way up to 10, so it's not great for us. But there's really nothing for her to do. She doesn't need to run. She's not in the eyesight of any of the things that she's scared of. So really all she's going to do is take the dodge action and try to save out of this. I just imagined how a lizard and a half-elf just scared for their lives in front of what seems like just a normal child. Children. Well, no, what is the old joke? What's worse than a rapist? A child. Yeah, I mean, very much like, oh no, this terrible child, get it away from me. It's the horror. All right, she's gonna make her save. All right, fingers crossed. Blessings for Gertrude. Come on, girl. Still poisoned. Okay. Reed's turn. Reed continues to bleed on the floor. Hey, success. Up. That's good for us. At least it's not a failure. So obviously Reed bleeds on the floor. Now, suddenly Christoph can't get out through the door because now there's somebody else right there. What's happening? They were going through their magic items, and one of them was trapped with some poison, that's some psychoactive poison that kind of very close to the spell Enemies Abound. They're basically afraid of everybody and attack or run for them on sight. That's pretty much the long and short of it. Reed's currently on the floor in the process of dying. That's where we are. Yeah, Reed's almost dead. All right. Well, Christoph, somebody came up and came to him. He could technically get away from them. But to do so, he has to go back into a room where he knows there's a creature, even though he can't see that line of sight. So I'm going to leave this up to a roll. So it's like, if we roll high, he's going to run back into the room. If we roll low, he's going to take a swing at the guard. Alright, well, things go from bad to worse. Halt, criminal scum, we've just attacked the guards. Now, we have disadvantage on that. But as this guy comes around and spooks Christoph, he turns around and turns his sword on the guard. He has disadvantage at least. Alright, and I'm very confident that a 12 does not hit a guard. And another 12 also does not hit the guard. And he starts taking swings at the guard, and the guard's like, oh, what the hell? Alright, things go from bad to worse. And we're going to go ahead and jump this in, and Christoph attacks the guard in the doorway. But does get an opportunity to save. Alright. Blessings for Christoph. Alright, you got a +1. You only need a 14. You only need a 14. Well, that's not gonna work. Guess who's still poisoned? I love that the one person who gets unpoisoned gets immediately downed. It's so funny. It's so funny that I have to read. Yeah, loser from blessed him with that radiant flame. She's scared of a child. Alright, he fails to hit the character and the guard, and then he goes that. The guard's immediately going to, I assume, call for more guards. Guards, guards, guards! Help! Help! Attackers! And so more guards are going to show up. How many rounds till they show up? 3. Alright, 3 more rounds before guards show up. It's down here. So we'll just put down here, hey. FYI. Let's do it this way. Can I do this? Yeah, alright. Guards show up in round 6. Which again sounds like a long time, but remember that that's only like 18 seconds. It's like that's still a pretty quick response time. But this guard is let's get a guard stat block. Works for me. Alright, so this guy gonna have his spear, and I think he's probably gonna try to bash Christoph. So he gets a +3. Gonna hit Christoph. Probably one-handed because he's got shield in the other hand at this point. Oh man, max damage. They truly are Elder Scrolls guards. They're just gonna beat the snot out of us. Alright, well that's gonna be 7 points of piercing damage. I was kind of assuming that they would hit him with the blunt end, but I don't know. He did swing a sword at him. Alright, so hey Christoph, how are things going? You're at 7 of 14 now. So immediately taken down by half as this guard fucking stabs him just. If they pass the save, yeah, they'll get out of it. But they gotta pass the save first. That's round 10, so likelihood that this will end in blood before that. But there's always a chance that maybe he makes the save. Maybe Reed doesn't die, maybe he stabilizes on his own. Or one of my other characters figures out what they're doing and they can actually go, like, just stabilize them. That would be nice. Alright. So, Top of the round. Gertrude again. She's back in the corner. She still can't see anybody. So she's good. She's Gucci. All she's got to do is roll a save. Thank you. All right. There's a big... big, like, lizard folk crocodilian. Just, like, snot everywhere. She, like, spews all this stuff out of her nose. And gets all this stuff out of her respiratory tract. And starts coughing. And she, at least for now, is no longer poisoned. And she looks down at Reed and goes, oh my god. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? No. But you can't do anything about that this turn. Speaking of which, it's Reed's. Alright. Now, the good thing is that we're a halfling, which means that even if we roll a natural 1, which would kill most characters, we have the opportunity to re-roll a natural 1. So, likelihood that we'll roll 2 in a row is what, a 1 in 40 shot? So, or no, it's a 1 in 400 because it has to be a 20th of the 20th. So, unlikely, but could happen. Alright, dice. Alright, dice. I see you. Alright. That's the warning shot. I got it. Alright. 2 failures for Reed. Now, if Gertrude can get to him, she can stabilize him. Or just heal him. I think she can just heal him, which would be helpful. Alright. So, Reed's downed. Can't do anything about that. That's not great. The double nat 1. Yeah, it has to be a double nat 1. Yeah, our druid's good. Our druid just needs to go stabilize our downed character. Alright, that leaves us with Kristoff. Hey, there's still a guard on the door, and now that guard stabbed us, so you know we're going to attack that guard, but we're still frightened. We still have disadvantage on all our attacks. But buddy, that's going to hit. Alright, so that's 1 longsword hit. But that second one's going to miss. So longsword is D8. He gets this D8 plus 2, I believe. Yes. So he gives as good as he got. He's going to give 7 damage to that guard, which almost kills them. So that guard goes down to 4 hit points. Great. And what's going so he's at 04 of 11. All right. Well, that was Kristoff. Let's get a save. Come on, boy. Yeah. Reed has a worse AC than a commoner. Yeah, because his dex is so low right now. Yeah, he has -2 in his dex. He's super easy to hit. He's a child. Technically, he's an adult now, but I mean, he's still like a teenager. He's not great. He'll get better. He also doesn't have any armor on. All right. Look, all we got to roll is a 14. We can do that. And we did. Perfect. Yes. All right. Poison. Done. We got bigger problems. But the poison condition is now over. So Kristoff has attacked the guard in the doorway. This guy stabbed him, and then he hit him with a sword. They're both bleeding out a lot. What is this guard gonna do? This guard, I'm gonna make a morale check for him. What is their? I think their charisma's 10. Yeah. So we're gonna do classic. You guys watched me do morale checks before, or how I do them for D&D 5e 2024. Is we roll just a flat D20. If we roll their charisma or lower, so it's a roll under. If we roll their charisma or lower, then they're going to stay in the fight. If we roll higher than their charisma, then they run off. So, here we go. Guard stays in the fight. So I think Kristoff swings and hits this guy, and it's like, wait. Gosh. Oh. And then sees this guy about to stab him again. It's like, no, wait. He's gonna try to... I'm gonna give him a minor thing. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's how I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna roll an attack roll for guard. Won't matter. The only thing that will matter is that Kristoff's also gonna do a persuasion check against it to essentially be like, if I get higher than that, then maybe I can stop this guard from... get this guard to flinch and maybe not stab me first. Alright, so here's the attack from the guard. Buddy, he can't make the charisma check. It's not gonna matter. He can't make it. Because that's a 21. No, not in the face. As he gets stabbed again. Now, I don't think that they're probably going to go for lethal damage. I think they're probably going to try to subdue this guy. That would make sense to me. Actually, I don't think they're going to knock him out. No, 5 plus 1 is 6. He technically has 1 hit point left. Don't feel good. Surrender, criminal scum. Surrender now, or your life is forfeit. Alright, and that's the end of the round. That guy's doing his thing. He did his thing. He's stabbed. Top of the round. Reed is a noble. He exists as a pretty boy. He's still a force of nature called a child. Don't take him lightly. And he'll become something. And he's still dangerous in a certain way. Alright. So, it was round 5. Round 5. Gertrude is... Nobody's poisoned anymore, and she looks down, she sees him, she's going to run over and attempt to... I think she can just... cast. Yeah, at this point, she's immediately going to cast... She's going to use her 1 divine aid that she gets per day, and she's going to cast Healing Word. Which the new Healing Word is just 2d4, right? New. I mean, it's been, what, 2 years now. 2d4 plus your spellcasting modifier. Great. Which is intelligence for her. So 2d4 plus 3. Ooh, nice. He doesn't have that many hit points. So she blows her divine aid. And Reed goes back up to full health. Holy light fills. And he feels better. And he is stabilized. We don't need to worry about this anymore. You don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Alright. Done. Divine Aid is a bonus action, so she still has a... Oh, I forgot. He has advantage versus being frightened. I should have... I guess it's technically poison he's saving against. It's not the frightened condition. So I guess he wouldn't have advantage on that. That's fine. Didn't really matter either way. He was spent most of the time on the floor unconscious. So Gertrude's gonna... Healing Word! Bam! You feel better. Runs up to the door and is gonna try to like wave down the guard and be like, no, please stop. Please stop. It's a misunderstanding. Everybody put your arms down. Put your weapons down. She'll make a persuasion check. Why not? Oy vey. Well, it's not going well. Let's put it that way. Not going well at all. Well. So this has got to have some sort of unintended consequence for a natural one. I mean, technically we don't have to do that because you can't crit fail an ability check. But it does seem remote. Otherwise, we're going to say that this would make the DC more difficult as they try to parlay with this guard. So that does not seem to work because the guard's stabbed and holding, a wound from the sword as he's actively almost killed in one of their party. Which makes it Reed's turn. Reed's going to stand up Reed stands up. And Reed's going to try to do his stuff. He's going to try to use his persuasion, which is better. To be like, everybody stop now. I command you as a lord. In the name of the first hells. So yeah. Does he get advantage? I'll just roll. And because now he's got station. No. Alright, so he doesn't have advantage. He still gets a +5. Now we did say that the DC is going to be more difficult. Because Gertrude already kind of blew it. That's 17 though. That's quite good. I'm just going to double the modifier. Wasn't even going to matter. That's an 11. We're going to double that 1 to 12. DC 12. Alright. So he snakes it. He pulls victory out from the clutches of defeat, which is mainly us going to get killed, as he gets up from a person who looked like they had just been murdered by their retainers in their room, and gets up and tells everybody to put their weapons down. And everybody's going to listen. So at this point, we're going to be out of combat. But more guards are going to start rushing in here. Start looking at this, be like, what happened to everything? Everybody calm down. Good step up. Everybody calm down. Everything's fine. I'm fine. All right. Gertrude, would you please attend to Christoph and Sgard? Thank you for your quick summons, your quick reaction. I'm afraid that we have been we've been the target of some skullduggery. We can show you if you would like. Are you able to? Well, as soon as Gertrude is done looking everybody over, perhaps you can provide you with some more specifics about what happened. There's no kind of transition there. First hells. That is where's he at? That's his name, First Hells. That's the prince's name. But yes, First Hells. So, we can kind of move away from that because I think we've been very successful here. I don't think Gertrude really has anything to help out with. I don't believe that herbalism we could use our healing potions, but nobody's in dire need at the moment. So, our buddy Christoph's just gonna have to grin and bear it for now. Once he'll get a short rest here in a second, and he can heal some of his hit points back. But everybody else is good. So they do that. They're able to mop this up at this point. And we'll just get down from there. So at this point, he is able to de-escalate the situation. Now, I'm going to give opportunity for Gertrude to give a check to see if she can identify more about the poison. Now the poison's out, there is a chance that she could figure that out. I think it's got to be the same DC as the DC is for the poison already, which is 15, which is going to be pretty easy for her to hit. In fact, I'm going to give her advantage on it because she has herbalism and medicine. I think it's likely, and arcana. And religion. All of those things are important to this thing because Belith's a deity, and so all of this is important. So I think she gets absolutely advantage on it. So it's unlikely that she will. Yeah, so she smokes it. She's able to identify the breath of Belith as the poison. Starts talking about the psychoactive effects with the guard, and is able to show the alchemy jug, which is going to have some of that residue still in there. So she tells this guard about it. Do any VIPs show up? Yeah, okay. Does the big man himself show up? Sure does. It takes a little bit. Like, certainly, anything that's like, there's a lot of looky-loos, there's a lot of rubbernecking. Like, people show up because this big thing is happening. There's, like, guards in this room, and there's blood, and there are a number of people who are bleeding and have had injuries. They're talking this thing over, and they talk about, this attack, and there's sabotage, and, somebody tried to poison us and stuff like that. They got somebody who can identify that poison and the item in which it came from. I guess the question is, like, is there any residue? I think it's likely there's residue. Yeah, with that +3, that makes it 11. It's like, there is residue, but it's hard to pick it up because the alchemy jug, being the nature of what it is that it fills with a bunch of different liquids and substances like that. So I think there's a lot of people looking at it and being like, maybe. But First Tells is going to show up. I think he's going to go to Reed, obviously, and be like, Reed, are you okay? What happened? Reed starts to explain things. We were going over the commendation gifts. We opened this jug, this crock from Osrier and Custodian Osrier, and this gas was expelled into our faces and had some sort of psychoactive madness in it. Gas of madness that had us turn on each other, and we nearly killed each other in this room. That's a very strong accusation, Baronet. I assume you have proof to back this up. It seems like you're blaming Custodian Osrier for this. I don't know. I think I can give him an inside check, actually. That's 13? Yeah. And the DC for that is going to be 13. So he hits it on the nose. So he starts to kind of launch into, it's like, well, it shows up in the gift. As far as I know, nobody's had their hands on it since then. Then starts to get this read off of First Tells that's like, you need to tread very carefully here. And the way that I've set this up is like, if you were going to call somebody out, you got to make sure it's bulletproof, or else this is going to damage both our reputations. Like, if what you do, if the accusation you put forward is found to be false, or they're able to wriggle out of it in some way, I have to do something about that as the prince. Like, I have to reprimand you in some way. I just gave your commendation. I don't want to jeopardize that, so be extremely careful about what you say here. And so I think he softens a little bit. These things were moved into the room. Other people had their hands on them. There was definitely left my immediate vicinity where I did not have eyes on it. So anybody could have happened. I know it's not any of my compatriots because they have not been in the castle until just now. But I couldn't tell you how it came, what happened, or why. Well, kind of like lays a hand on his shoulder. I'm glad that you're safe. Perhaps it is better if you and your friends get some sleep and make quick plans to set out on your mission, the northern marches. I think so. I think that is wise counsel, my prince. Of course it is. It's my counsel. Of course it's wise. All right, everybody. Out. Everybody's had a long day. Let's get grabs his guard. Let's get you attended to, and everybody else. Let's turn in for the evening. I think we've had a lot of excitement today. Let's quiet down for the evening. Start to like lead people off of this area. A bad idea to smoke the poison. She's going, yeah. Go read. It's useful for your intellect to read books. You hear what I said, Reed? Read. I read Reed's read. Alright, good. So, that could have gone way worse, and it didn't. Actually, the thing that made it better was having the frightened condition actually in that poison, which I didn't realize it was going to work out like that. That was actually a big stroke of luck for us, or else things probably would have gone even worse than they already did, which was not great. But we were able to sort of get out of it, read, de-escalate the situation, but does not finger Osreer as the provocateur in this. So we can deal with that. So we've done that. Now it kind of comes down to the main quest objective. So at this point, they're going to take a short rest. Everybody's going to heal up. And by that, I mean Kristoff. Kristoff's going to heal up. He's the only one who needs. He's healing. So Kristoff's going to spend a couple. Luckily, being a sidekick, they tend to have more hit dice. So he's already got 3 hit dice. So he'll spend at least 1. So they're probably about to turn in for a long rest, so he'll probably spend 2. Yeah. 8, 9, 10. That gets him up to 11. That's probably good. I'll take that. He'll go up to 11. 11 and 14. And they take a short rest. But, you know, given time, and during that short rest, they are going to identify the alchemy jug. And we're going to give that to Gertrude, obviously. Because she's going to be the person who's going to make the most use of it. So we're going to add that to Gertrude. So, because we haven't done it yet. We almost died, but we could have been worse. We could have all died. Yeah, we didn't. So, we really got out by the skin of our teeth on that one. We were just 1 or 2 die rolls away from that being a real bad encounter. That kind of being the end of the campaign before we even got it off the ground. I like the Traveler style attempted game. If you're not familiar with Traveler with 2 L's, it's sort of like infamous tagline being that, hey, this is a game in which you can die in character creation. Before you even get to play the character, your character can just die in character creation. In a very similar way, I like running campaigns where it's like, hey, even before you get your first level, there's a chance that you could just straight up be gone. It's fun. It really adds that tension to it that I really enjoy. It really comes with like low-level D&D, which is like, hey, 1 or 2 bad dice rolls and this can all go belly up real quick. So, because we haven't done it yet, we're going to set out our main quest objective and our first milestone, or subquest. So let's go ahead and do that. I think this is in the reference document. Alright, our main quest. Yeah, so here we go. So we got a central plot and side quest. So our main quest, 0 for 10. We don't have a milestone complete. What is our main quest? Well, I think our main quest, as we know it right now, is... Let's go over here. So, our King's Ward comes of age, rewarded with title and privilege, but finds himself immediately hunted by political wolves. As we've seen, his only chance is to escape across the river to his new holding beyond the kingdom's frontier to eke out a hard life in a ferocious and hostile land. So, kind of out of the frying pan into the fire. Perhaps once he's across the river and set up, the PC finds some threat to the kingdom? Question mark. I don't know about that. That's a maybe. A challenge where he'll need to contend with political enemies and against him within the kingdom to get access to the sovereign to warn them of the coming danger. We already have a pretty good relationship with the prince, as shown in that into that scene. So we're already on pretty good terms with the prince, though that can change depending on what we do once we get to our holding. We may not be as favorable once we actually have some skin in the game. So I think our main quest here is to pretty much establish it. Come on, you can do this. establish a successful holding in the northern marches. I think that's it. Like, that is kind of our day one. Like, that is what we are doing. That was a successful holding in the northern marches. So I think our milestone number 1, which is incomplete, is our first one is setting up a base camp. I think that's number 1. So step A to that is commendation. Achieved. I think there's a way. Is there a way I can do? I thought there was a way you could do checkboxes. Oh, I'm staring right at it. Commendation ceremony. Done. Our second thing is it plan the route? I think it might just be getting there. Okay, getting northern marches, outlining the fief border, and then like, and then basically setting camp. I think that's it. That's step number 1. We'll say arrive. We gotta get there. That's really the difficult part. Outline the fief's borders. Give me a second. And actually, it's not. Let's say send. So essentially, outline the. Because we need to get it recognized. That's fine. I know what we need to do for that. I don't have to do that. Yeah, survive is the main thing we gotta do. We just gotta keep on living, and it's pretty hard. All right, so setting up a base camp. That's milestone number 1 on our main quest. Is like we gotta get to the base camp. And we gotta do those things. So we did the commendation ceremony. That's complete. So sub step 1, good. Now we've got to get to the northern marches. That's our next thing that we're gonna do. So to do that, this is done. And we'll say the Gertrude. I need. Oh, can we try? No problem. That's not gonna be hard for her. Alright, so we need to do our travel route selection and prep. That's our next thing. It's getting late in the evening. They're still up. Everybody's kind of licking their wounds a little bit, or I guess pretty much just Kristoff at the one point. They talk about the situation, be like, all right. I think there is a situation where Gertrude, I think Gertrude especially kind of comes to Reed and be like, why did you not make an accusation against Custodian Ulstrier? He's clearly the person who did this poisoning. You're just going to let him get away with it? No, not exactly, Gertrude. In a situation where that could be actually make things more difficult for us. Custodian Ulstrier is a smart person. He would not, if he is the one who did this, he would not do that if he thought he couldn't get away with it. And I think he can't get away with it. Which means if we think he can get away with it, he's going to try again. We barely survived this encounter. I don't think we can survive another encounter. And I think Christoph goes, hey, I second that. There's certainly, if I had killed that guard, well, I'd probably be seeing the gallows instead. Luckily, Your Grace was able to stop me before that became an eventuality. And waves it off. So, I think our best thing to do right now is focus on, let's make our plans to get out of here. In the morning, we will get our supplies, we'll get them loaded, and let's leave Glory Bend behind us. The faster we get on the road, at least if something goes bad out there and we have to draw blood. Well, let's just hope we don't have to. But if we do, there's less chance of negative repercussions. I think Christoph nods, kind of understanding that means that like they can hide bodies and stuff like that, which is not really something they can do in the castle. And I think that's probably going to sail a little bit over Gertrude's head. I don't think she kind of catches that. And she just goes, "Oh, all right." So, what we need to do is do our travel route selection. Revenge! Cruel, bloody revenge! We need to get a rogue to get our glorious, bloody revenge. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a rogue in the party, but we ain't got one of those. So that might be more difficult for us later, but we also don't have anybody who's particularly stealthy. I'll throw you guys over here. I gotta pull up the map real quick. Because what we're gonna do now is they're going to determine where the heck they're gonna go and how they're gonna get to the place they need to get to. So, I have a pretty good idea of what I think it's going to be, but when in doubt, I pull this up. Yeah, all right. So you guys will get to see the hex map. Those of you who have been paying attention from the very beginning and saw our setup, you guys are very familiar with this. For those of you who weren't with us, this will be your first time, so lucky you. This is all going to be brand new information for you. Yeah, alright, here we go. Let's go, yeah, where's space? So here's our starting hex map. Each of these little hexes is about 2 nautical miles, so about 2.15 thereabouts statute miles. Or, whatever that is in kilometers, probably close to 3. Might be a little more than 3. I can't remember. Anyways, we're starting at Glory Bend Hall, which is right here. And we're trying to get to up here. We got a ways to go. So we know where we're at and where we're starting from. We can zoom in a little bit as we try to figure out our route. This will be an overland travel thing. We're not going to do a full hex crawl. So we've got roads that are going to go here. We've got this northern route we can go through. We can follow this road up and 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 up, which would get us all the way to there. That's right through the heart of the Furstentum, right through Princedom's area. The problem is that there are people up here who don't like us. Or are at least neutral to us. So it puts us in a lot of areas that, kind of questionable. Now, the other way we can go is we can take the southern route. Take the southern route, we come down through here. Back up through here. And then we'll grab one of these ferries, and then that ferry can take us over to here, and we can pop up to here. The only bad part about up here is that, in addition to having a number of people who don't particularly like us, it puts us right on the border, which the borders are already an issue that we know of in the world. So it's like more likelihood that we'll get attacked up here. People coming across the border, even though this is Magistros Laios' land. So it would be bad, but, could happen. And we still have to figure out some way to get from here, across the lake, the Grunschlacke, over to here. So, it may be easier to take one of the ferries that's down here. That will be fairly easy, significantly easier for us. So, we're going here, regardless of where we're going. First step is to go here. At this point, I should probably just pull up our stuff, huh? That'd be smart. I have them. I got the map, right? The region map. Keep them. There we go. This is. Where's the county stuff? Oh, it helps if I can read. I'm just learning. I've just started out reading. I barely know my ABCs. All right, so this is hex. Hex what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hex 9. Is that correct? Go ahead. Here. Hex 9. No, sorry, it's hex 8. All right, so we're at. Well, Thupu Gosala. Glorybind Hall. Actual name. From that, we're going to go to the Reverend Bound. So, travel, regardless of which way we go, we're going from there to here. Going to be our next stop, which is the Mound. We know that that's an eventuality. That's just a place that we're for sure going to go to. Easy way. Yeah. Right here. All right, so we're gonna go from. We'll do our, travel route selection and prep. All right, so we're gonna go. Glorybind. Do Mound. You go from Mound. I think we're gonna take the southern route. We can go underground. I mean, a criminal part of the society. Rogues should be there. There are, yeah, but we are right now don't really have anybody that's underground adjacent, criminal world adjacent, really. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of like upstanding people. All right, so that's the Mound. Reverend Mound. I'll go ahead and put that down. Glorybind Hall. To the Reverend Mound, which is the like tomb for Hell's family. So I think what we're going to end up having to do is I think we're going to have to take that southern route because that's the only route in which we have friendlies on. Northern route, if I recall, does not have any friendlies for us. Maybe 8. Let's look at that. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit. Zoom out. Oop, not what I was trying to do. That's the wrong thing. All right, here we go. Zoom out. Because I think, if I remember correctly, let me go ahead and put this up here. I can't remember how much of the stuff I've written down or not. Very little of it, apparently. Good. Wouldn't need anything like that. But if we go north, what's other stuff that's in 8? I say kind of discuss this. Villages, we haven't filled out any of that stuff. I think particularly because I knew I wasn't going to go that way. Because it just didn't make sense. We wanted to follow our allies, and our allies are to the west. So if we go down here, that leads us into, so this was 8, 9, 10, 11. So that leads us into 11. What's in 11? Peaceglade Cemetery. Dean Gare House would be okay with us, I think, at this point, potentially. And Missionary Megara. Alright, the construction at the Market of Boat Landing. Which will be zipping past, so there is some danger there. There's some potential danger that we could zip through, which is right here. But I think, if I remember correctly, there's just too much stuff that's good for us. Wild Rose Bend, which is that's the place that Gertrude is from. So that's going to be safe for us, primarily. We think, except now that we have a druid that's maybe working against us. Hard to know. But I do think that that's probably safe for us. The Baron's Keep, and, because that's probably not going to be along the way, is it? Gosh, I keep clicking on the wrong thing. Get down to there, so that's our religious site. And then from there we can head straight up. At which point we'll probably go to, so this would be 7. And 7 probably one of these two. Which I think are going to make the most sense. There's some Mare's Tail cable. Repairs. Great Pike. Orlando, which is the Rookland. York's Island. There's Bereslav's Tomb. Or Tomb, sorry. Which might be... because there's Crowland and... what's after Crowland? What's 31... Mare's Tail Cable. Because then once we get over there, like Mare's Tail Straight Cable, there's a lot of stuff that actually... there are a lot of people who are kind of unaffiliated. Who probably we don't have to worry about as much as them trying to actively kill us. So I think that this is probably the way to go. So yeah, we're going to go from here to here. Which is... what is that? 25? Yeah. Hell's Storehouse. Which is this guy right here. That's Hell's Storehouse. Which also should be relatively safe for us. Assuming that the Cyclopses, because there's 2 of them, don't eat us. That'd be nice. But they are there. Let's grab these guys. Alright. We're going to take them to Hell's Storehouse. Then we go from Hell's Storehouse. We're going to head west. West. That'll take us by whatever that is. That's 11. Peaceglade Cemetery. Goodness gracious, I'm going to click on everything wrong except the thing I need. The Peaceglade Cemetery. And from Peaceglade Cemetery, we're going to go to whatever the next thing is there, which is going to be... I should have clicked on it. Which is going to be the construction of the market landing, right? Yeah, construction of the market landing. The market landing construction. that's probably the most dangerous thing outright that we could see. Because there are some monsters around. We'll go for market landing construction. Which I think is going to take us to... What's it called? Yeah. What's that guy called? Yep. Wild Rose Bend. Let's do Wild Rose Bend. And after Wild Rose Bend, we're going to kick it and we're going to go northwest and we're going to eventually hit this guy right there, which is the Mayor's Tail Crossing. All the way up in 8. Or above 8, sorry. Yeah. Still. The Mayor's Tail Straight Cable. And that'll lead us over into, I believe, the Rooklands. Yeah, at which point we'll go to, well, I have to check with these guys. Before I say that, we might end up going there first. That might be a better choice for us. Maybe. Tower of Souls. Alright, so it's going to take us to Swamp Moss. Yeah, because I think we'll hit Swamp Moss first, even though we could go straight into the Rooklands. I think it'll be more beneficial if we talk to those people before we head into the Rooklands. Alright, because we're not really supposed to be in the Rooklands. Kind of a no trespassing area. Priory. That we're going into the Rooklands. Which will be fun. That'll be a fun one for us, and that's going to take us all the way. That ferry is going to take us all the way to here. Which is... got the map. The first thing that's in there. The White Birch Inn. Alright, yeah, there are troubles with taking the Rookland ferry, though, that I hadn't thought about. If they take the Rookland ferry, they're not going to be able to take a cart with them, I don't think. That'd be wild if they took a cart with them, because of the nature of the ferry. Which is a big-ass bird. It's going to fly. I don't think it's going to fly their cart. It might, though. But I don't know if they would know that problem. Okay. Rooklands Ferry is going to take us, and we'll just call it Rookland Ferry. I'll take us to the White Birch Inn, and then we're going to be in the marshes. Into the swamps of the swamp of the northern marches. All right, yeah. The question, yeah, will enemies expect Reed to go south? Probably. Yeah, they're gonna understand that that's logically the best route for him because the other one he's got friends on. Yeah, they're probably... It's going to be dangerous. It would be dangerous even if somebody wasn't actively probably trying to kill him. Or do something to him. And we don't know if they tried to kidnap him first. Not just kill him. So, you know what? I don't know why I did it this way. I shouldn't have done it this way. Kept him like this. So, as you can see, it's like that's quite a bit. Quite a bit. And I forgot that we were looking at the county map. That actually makes this way different. So I said that each of these little hexes were 2 nautical miles away, but it's not true. They're actually 10 nautical miles away. That was my fault. So actually these are a lot further. So each of these squares represents about like 10 hours of travel, thereabouts. Or sorry, about 5 hours of travel. So it's a many-day journey. We're going to be along the road. That's going to make us move faster, but it's also going to make us more vulnerable to people knowing where we are. Until we get to probably here. Because once we get into the Rooklands, probably nobody's going to screw around with us too much. Because Rooklands are not a place people go to. But we have to be careful going into it, because if we go straight into it, there's a chance the Rooks might attack us. Or hold us ransom or do something. But once we get there, it's a straight shot. Shouldn't be any problems, assuming we can get the bird ferry. It'll take us right there. And then we're into the marsh, baby. And this is where we're trying to get to. Kind of within this hex. I haven't filled it out because we don't know what's in it yet, because it's beyond the borders. But once we move into there, it will no longer be beyond the borders. But somebody could own that place, is the problem. So it's very, very difficult. But that tells us our route. That's perfect. So the question now becomes, how many nodes do we want to put in there? I think there's going to be a node for every place that we go to. And then I guess we'll just, each one will have its potentially be a node. Each hex will potentially be a node. I like that. So that's going to be a node, that's going to be a node, that's going to be a node. Then there's one in between those two. There's going to be a travel node here. That's in between... Wait, that's in between... I just lost where I was. Okay, right before the construction, okay. So we're going to have a travel node. So these nodes are basically things that we might just roll for to see if anything happens while we're going through there. In addition to each different place we stop at along the way. Which we may or may not have something that happens there. So basically every hex we go through, there's an opportunity for something to happen. For good or for ill, we don't know yet. But people are going to know we're traveling through there, so there's a good chance that people are going to come after us. And then after that, there's one between there, and then 2 before the next one. Wait, what did I screw up? Oh, I forgot to note something down. What did I forget to note down? So this could be a travel node. Node, but there is something here. Travel node, right? I'm gonna make that up. It'd be easier if I could see this side by side, which I probably should have done. Just rearrange things. But yeah, there's 1 and then there's 2. Okay. What is that place again? Gosh, I keep forgetting the name of it. Even though it's a very cool location. Go down, get down, get down. East Glade, Market Boat Landing, Wild Rose Bend. There we go. That's what it's called. So So a lot of these places also represent places that we'll be able to sleep at, which is really why we're noting it. It's going to be the places we're also going to stay at. Is places. Obviously, we're staying at Gloryman Hall. There's a place that we can camp at the Reverend Mound. Or actually, there's not the Reverend Mound. But then we can go straight to the storehouse. Most of these things we'll be able to push through pretty easily. At some point, we'll have to like set up camp. So I'll probably elongate things. That tends to be what I do with travel when I'm doing something like this. Is still using the standard like 5e 2024, where it's like, oh, a short rest is an hour, and a long rest is 8 hours or overnight, etc. Then I elongate that out when we're doing a travel segment. So now a short rest becomes like your nightly sleep, and something like a long rest is more like, hey, you take like a full day of like resting in camp because you've been traveling for a week or something like that to just kind of recoup. It also means that you can't just go full Nova on every encounter you come across. So I like to do it. It's a little futzy, but I like it. The idea being that you're really looking for a place that you can really bed down that's truly safe. Like truly a safe haven for you to bed down to get like that full rest. Like we're going to stay in camp, off the road. Nobody's going to see us for a full day as we rest in camp and recoup. But for the people who don't need to do that, that gives them the opportunity to do things like downtime activities while they're actually traveling. If they feel fine. If they haven't used any of their resources. And then we're going to get the straight cable, and I think there's one spot between those two. So there's a cable. Because we're going to go one, boom, because we're actually, instead of going here to here, we're going to go here to here to here to here. There's one there, and then technically there's two before we get there. We got a travel node there. Actually, from Swampnose to Rook's Ferry is nothing. And then from Rook's Ferry there is a travel node. Though it's going to be weird if something happens in those travel nodes. It'll be very interesting. Assuming, and this is assuming everything works. And then there's one more travel node before we really break in there. So we got a lot of places we can go through. Like we got a lot of ground to cover. We got a lot of places that we're going to visit. We got a lot of people we're going to talk to. A lot of potential opportunities for violence or terrible things to happen. But that is, that's our itinerary. That's where we're going. That's how we're going to do it. So we have a basic idea of where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. Most of this is very familiar to our two retainers, which is why we have this information. It's because, again, our boy Kristoff came from, like, way the heck down here. And then met up with Gertrude here. And then the two of them traveled to here to meet up with Reed. So both of them, so she's based here. So she's got kind of familiar with this general area. These few days of travel in and around this area. And then Kristoff's from way down here, so he's seen like everything. He like trekked through all this wilderness to get there, which there's not a lot of like clear straight paths. So he probably went up through here and kind of went down this way. He probably did like, and then trekked through a bunch of wilderness to get to probably this river. And take the river down, and he could follow the river and take it to there. So that's why he has survival. He's able to do that kind of stuff pretty easily. Last time I was on map travel. So Reed is playing at hardcore plus difficulty, new game plus, or Asian difficulty. Yeah, fully playing at like the hard mode plus plus is like everything sucks. It's very hard. You really suck as a character. It's like, but the thing is like he will become an incredibly potent character because he's already a noble, which gives him so many step up benefits than a normal adventurer and what he's trying to do. So he's already got some, if he can make it to level 1 and if he can get settled, he'll become incredibly potent. Especially if he continues to do like a nice level up. So we know which way we're going to go. We've gotten our itinerary. So really the only thing is like, do we want to buy anything? Now, our boys here are going to have rations. So I'm not going to worry about rations out the gate, I don't think. Though I don't think Reed has any. He does not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll... the question is are we going to... We have to take a bunch of stuff with us. If we look at... our things, look at our commendation gifts, things that we couldn't carry with us. This all can't go with us. We can maybe carry the canvas. That's really heavy, but we can still probably carry it. Especially with some netting or something and just sling it in between two people. A makeshift bindle kind of thing. But if we want to take any of that other stuff, especially like the iron, we'll have to... We're going to have to get a cart. The cart's good because the cart gives us more traveling capability. We have a bunch of money too. It's also difficult to carry. And we're going to be on a road most of the time, which is good. It becomes a little bit more difficult. This is the discussion they have. So it becomes more difficult once we get past this ferry. Because then we're going to be in the swamp, and we're going to be in the swamp where there's not a road with a cart. That's going to be really difficult. I think they talk about it and it's like, well, there's the opportunity that we might be able to trade in the cart at the ferry for a boat. If we can trade those things, if we can trade, you know, a donkey and a handcart in for a boat or something like that, that would be more useful to us. We know that the area we're going to is swampy in general. Like, so we're going to do a lot of swamps. The cart's actually not going to be super useful for us once we get there. So the idea is going to be probably once we get to Mare's Tail Crossing, Mare's Tail Strait Crossing. Mare's Tail Strait. Once we get there, we're going to have to probably trade out a cart for a boat. Then the question is like, are we going to be able to use the boat? Will it actually be able to go with the Brooklyn Ferry? I'm going to give Gertrude a check right now. We'll just call it a history check to see if she knows anything about the Brooklyn Ferry. There's a priory right next to it, so I think there's a chance that she could. That's the only reason she's getting a roll. And she's kind of from the area. She doesn't know anything about the Brooklyn Ferry. Okay. So this probably doesn't come across to them. They're like, yeah, I mean, we still have the issue once we get over there, but we're not going to think about, hey, how's a bird supposed to carry a boat? So they know they're going to need to take this stuff. So now we're at the point is like, do we want to... They're going to take their long rest. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. They take their long rest. We already knew something was going to happen during the night. That's what we rolled for in the end of our last session, because only like an hour's gone by, or an hour, maybe two, in universe in the game that we've played. So about as much time as we've actually been streaming has gone through in the game as they're talking all this stuff over. I mean, like, they probably know that they need to get a cart. I think they're pretty aware of that. Because I know that they can't take all of this. They could at least take some of this stuff with them. But probably not all of it. Even though I don't think rations technically weigh very much. Actually, they might. If they have a cart, they should... Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. If they have a cart, they can take all of this very easily. Yeah. So, they're going to take their long rest. And they're going to... We'll awaken in the morning. Do that. So let's do that. Alright. So. Group completes their long rest. We know nothing's going to happen in the night because we already did the thing that was going to happen in the night. Completes a long rest. They set about. They're going to buy a cart. I think they should be... Let's go up to the reference document. Did I put this stuff in here? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, yeah. Alright. Damn, are we really past it? That would suck. Let me see. I gotta pull something up real quick. Let's go for... Go, 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 go. I'll show you guys in a second what I'm looking at. Are we really outside of it? Ah, damn. Yeah, we sure are. Well, poop. That's okay. I won't make a ton of physical damage, and actually that might make things easier for us. Actually, that might make things exceptionally more easy for us. Even though we're at, what is this? We're sitting at 38. Where are we at? Oh no, we're within that. Okay, I'm not crazy. Okay, yeah, no, we're in it. Okay, cool. Cool. No, I was gonna show you guys this. So this is my resource mapping thing. And I was like, oh, so we're at... There we go. How could you? Alright, so 30 is the area that we're at. So, you'll notice that we're outside of the horse bar. So there aren't any horses here. At least not really. But we can get a donkey. But we can also get, like, an alpaca or a llama. I think donkey's probably going to be cheaper and probably better for us. They do pretty good in the jungle situations for the most part. So, we got a new question. Alright, hey. Donkey. No, I don't want one. Really? You don't have the stat block for donkey? Oh, it may just be under mule. Yeah. They use the same stat block for donkey and mule. It counts size as being 1/9 for the turning carrying capacity. Okay, so it's large. It counts as large with a strength of 14. And, oh, yeah, 14 times 30 is what? I don't even know what that is off the top of my head. That's going to be... Oh, it's... But, 8 times 6, right? Yeah, 420. So 420 pounds. 420 pounds... That's a lot. I think the stuff that we have might weight more than that. That means that we would need a cart. Not caps lock, cart. You're not gonna tell me how much crap I can put in the cart? Useful. Nope, sure isn't. Okay. What about wagon? Oh, is that supposed to be how much it can hold? Because there's no reason a covered wagon should weigh 1,300 pounds if a wagon weighs 400 pounds. This is a cart weighed 200 pounds. I was like, that sounds about as much as a cart would weigh. Yeah, I think it makes sense to just buy mules then. Or donkeys in this context. It probably makes sense to just buy donkeys. I think if we get 2 donkeys, that should be more than enough. Sorry. The stat block is mules. They're better. They're going to have a much better job making it through the swamp. They're also just much more useful to have those animals with you. They're guard animals, which means they're real good about defending areas. If we had them, that would be very useful. And they're medium, which means that they can get through stuff pretty easy compared to a large, trying to do like a wagon or something. I like it. How much do these guys freaking cost? This is why I have this. Let's hope Kristoff won't fuck up. I feel like he will be the guy I bully the most. Oh no, Kristoff hasn't done anything except maybe try to kill a guard. But he was poisoned. It's different. It wasn't really him. He can't be held responsible for his own actions. That would be ridiculous. Why do we need another donkey when we already got Kristoff? He's already an ass. Yeah. Let's see. Donkey. 8 gold. I mean, we can afford to get 8 gold. We'll buy 2 donkeys. We'll pick up 2 donkeys. Easy enough. When the morning comes, we will purchase 2 donkeys. 2 donkeys, please. There's gonna be 2 donkeys. They need all their crap with them too. Their tack and stuff. Is that in here? Bit and bridle, feed, pack saddle. Do you need saddlebags if you get the pack saddle? Question mark? Okay. What if I just look for a saddle? Oh, did they get rid of it in 24? Why is it not in here? And saddlebags aren't in here either. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to take it as no, because I think you just generally tie stuff onto the back of a donkey. So, one of these guys costs 8. Their bit and bridle costs another 2. That's 10. And they're going to need their pack saddle, which is another 5. So 15, so 30 all told. Get these guys kitted out, no feed. So it's 30. We'll take that. We'll deduct that from our stash. And tax, so that's my strategy. Now that doesn't give us any feed for them, but also like lots of animals can eat off the side of the road. It's really only if we go in an area. It's spring. They should be able to find at this point enough to kind of live off the land, maybe. Or we can feed them from some of our grain. We have plenty of grain. I'm going to take this just off of our commendation gift. Because we've got the 260, so we're going to take the 30 off of that. Then we're down to 230. Because we've got all this cornmeal, they can definitely eat off of that cornmeal. And 400 pounds of cornmeal is a ton of cornmeal. I mean, not mathematical ton, as in it is a large amount that is super useful and easy for us to deal with. So I think between the two of them, they're going to be able to carry all this stuff. I'm really not going to sit here and pick at the numbers too much, but I think between 2 donkeys, they should be able to take the cornmeal and the rations, the iron ingots, and the canvas. Everything else. Everybody's going to have to walk, like nobody gets to ride. But we are going to be able to do that. And we also have somebody who's trained in animal handling, which is super useful. Gertrude. I mean, she's at least practiced enough about trying to, like, kind of do a little bit of porters or doing a teamster kind of thing where she's pretty good at limbering these, like, loading these creatures up with the stuff. Yes, apologize to Kristoff. I was rude. I will use vicious mockery. Smarter and not hostily next time. Just roll. What do I roll for that? I mean, insight, I guess. I guess that's an insight check for you. Either an insight or just a basic intelligence check. One of the two. I'll accept either. Alright. So they do that. I think that's it. They've got plenty of rations. I'm going to have to translate this cornmeal into something that will be useful for us. Because right now it's just kind of a thing. But yeah, I think we should have enough that... Because the rations weigh like nothing. I mean, we can look at it. But I don't think the rations weigh much. Rations weigh 2 pounds. All right, so I'm about to have to eat my words real quick. They weigh 2 pounds. Man, and we've got a bunch of them. That's 1,800 pounds. Okay, so we definitely can't do that. But they also can carry a bunch of stuff with them. All right, so I think we're gonna send for. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a third of the rations. And we'll take all the cornmeal. All that's going to be on us. So 600, that's going to go to. I'm pretty sure. I don't think we need to roll for it. I think that First Tells, given how magnanimous he's trying to be about this situation, will allow us to store 600 in his storehouse. The one that we're going to. So maybe they'll allow us to borrow a wagon or something to get it out there, and then we'll drop it off there. I think that's, and then we'll take the 300 extra with us. I think that'll be helpful. And we'll take all the cornmeal with us, because the cornmeal can be used to feed the donkeys as well as trade once we get there. People. 18 is a pretty good roll. I think you passed. And that allows us to carry everything else, which I think will be very useful for us. I'd rather leave some of the rations behind. I think we'll be okay without them. I think we'll be good. We're not going to take the cart. That's all done. We've gotten everything set up. Is there any other gear that we need to buy? Probably. The problem is that because of Reed being the character that he is, which means he's a 0 level character, means that he doesn't have any ability to wear armor. He's not proficient in any armor. We can't really buy him a lot in the way of gear. But one of the things that Kristoff is missing that we recognize very easily is that Kristoff does not have a ranged weapon. Kristoff needs a ranged weapon. Well, we could get him something to throw because of his strength score. Sorry, I realized that I didn't want to change the view. Here we go. So because he has a +2 in strength, it would behoove us to get him some sort of like javelins or something he could throw that way. But I think it would be honestly just more useful to have a bow. He's a warrior, and because he's a warrior and he's trained in a weapon, means that he gets access. He has full like fighter proficiencies in all weapons. So we can just grab him. A longbow's a little expensive. I think maybe a short bow would be more useful for him. I've got the pricing in front of me. I don't need to look at that up. The short bow, I mean, a longbow's expensive, but not like we can't buy that too expensive. It's just more like, is he really gonna, he's really not that great with it, so is it really worth spending that money on it? But it would be useful for him to have something ranged. As we saw in the first fight with the kidnappers. So a short bow is 25. That's half the cost of a longbow or heavy crossbow, which I like. He'd also get a light crossbow. I think if we take the short bow, because he has 2 attacks, I would give him the 2 attacks with the short bow as well. Which you can't do with the light crossbow because it has low quality. So we're going to buy him a short bow and a quiver of arrows. Arrows. Lads. So we'll spend 26. She'll put us down to 204. And we'll hit bot for him. There's some short bow and arrows. That's gonna be actually we gotta buy him a quiver too. He's gotta have something to put those arrows in. Though I think a quiver doesn't cost very much. Yeah, it costs gold. So make that minus 27. For short bow, arrows, and quiver. And we'll adjust that one. As the commendation gifts. Down to 203. So we spent quite a bit already. But that's going to be super useful for us going forward. We kind of have to have that. Is there anything else we need to buy before we go out? Again, they don't really come with any just like standard adventuring kit. So we should probably get some standard adventuring kit kind of stuff. What is it? Go here. Look at the packs real quick. Engineer's pack. Backpack, caltrops, crowbar. 2 flasks of oil, 10 days of rations, rope, tinderbox, 10 torches, water skin. Pretty useful. I like those. Entertainer's pack, explorer's pack. You know what? I'm just gonna do this off stream because I feel like that's just gonna be a little bit of blah 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 blah. Because I think I'm gonna have them, instead of buying the packs, which is a little redundant because we already have a bunch of rations and stuff like that, and we already have the traveling clothes and stuff. So I think I'm gonna buy their stuff piecemeal, which is not gonna be interesting. It's just me going through lists and tallying stuff up. So I think that's where we'll end the stream this time. What we're gonna pick up next time is they're gonna load up these donkeys and they're gonna get the hell out of Glory Bend Hall before somebody tries to kill them again. That sounds like the important thing to do. But before we get off, it is the end of the session, which means that we have to do one very, very, very important thing, which is that we need to roll an ability score die for Reed. Hey, you know what? I think Constitution was the very, very important ability skill for this one that we need. So I think we're probably going to roll that. Let's look at the reference document and make sure we haven't rolled all those. So here's what we're going to do. Here we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on that one because we've done all 3. Oh, we've done all our strings too. Except that we have the ability to re-roll that. I'm going to put a little star up there. Boop. But Charisma's locked in. We got the 16 to start. So I think Constitution, based off of what we did, because we can't do Charisma, which was our big persuasion check that Reed had. We could go for Wisdom. He did have that sort of like moment of insight there. But I think far and away saving out of the poison and then not dying when he got shot, to me, that speaks of Constitution par excellence. So I think his Constitution goes up at the end of this one. All right, D6, come on. Give us the good juju. All right, we need high rolls. No ones. No more ones. We want 6s. 5s and 6s. That's what we're looking for. 5s and 6s. Sacrifice what we need to sacrifice to the almighty Google. Make sure this roll goes well. Okay, here we go. 5. Love it. Absolutely. Great. Perfect. +5. Love to see it. That's right, baby. We're going up to a 13 in con. Reed goes up to a 13 in Constitution, which means he's going to go up to a +1. Which means that his hit points, baby, those are now 6. Oh boy. Actually, no, it's technically it should be 7. Actually goes up 2 hit points. And now his hit die is 1d6 +1, at least for now. Well done. Well done, young Reed. All right. Wow. All right, so that's good. That's good. We kind of use some of, as far as like 5e 2024 D&D is concerned, some of the like the least important attributes are the ones that we've filled out thus far. We're still behind on Dex and Wisdom. Con's great, but it's not as important because there's no ability checks tied to it. What we really need to do is get that Dex sorted, especially with that +1. Yeah, all of that for 2 HP. 2 HP for now, but in the future, it'll be much better. The ability to have a positive con save will help us a lot. But yeah, I mean, we'd really like to hammer down this wisdom and hopefully roll like maybe another 6 and get a full 18. That would be perfect. But for now, yeah, these are good stats. Our total like fully fleshed out stats right now are 12, 13, and 16. Those ain't bad. Those are good. That's kind of, I think that's above the curve, right? Because it's like 11 or 12. What is it? It's 76. What's standard array? 76? Is that right? Divided by 6? Yeah, I think that's about right. So we're above the curve. Which means that we really need about a 12 or 13 in most stuff. So we're above the curve. And we still have that reroll opportunity for the strength on that one. So that can get us further along. Again, because of the way we did the stats, he's starting out super weak, but he should have quite good stats by the end. Or at least has the opportunity to have very, very good stats, like above average stats for a normal PC. And we still have those +3 from the background that we have not shifted yet. Sorry, I realized my stupid fat head's in the way. So going forward, that we have the opportunity to be a real standout person, like to have really good just base stats, which is super useful, more useful in 5e in 2024 than it is in a lot of other editions of D&D, especially older editions, especially middle editions, I should say, of D&D, where it's actually more that like a Pathfinder style, where actually your training actually gives you most of the bonuses, and your flat ability score bonus isn't as big of a deal breaker. In 5e 2024, you don't get as many proficiency bonuses, so your ability scores are a lot more important. Those modifiers are more important. We got a child. We aren't wise by default. This is a wise child. He's got a 12 already. He came out the gate with a 12. He's already wiser than a lot of the humans. Again, we kind of played that off as him being raised in the court and being able to like understanding the, like courtly manipulations and the great game of being a courtier kind of thing. He understands how to read people a little bit better and understands situations a little bit better than maybe a normal person was, just because kind of had to. And he's got a lot of exposure to it. But I think that's what we're going to call it this week. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It's always fun. I thought we were going to get a little bit further along. That's okay. It's not that big of a deal. We're going to hit it next time. Next time is going to be a little bit more action-packed. Or at least action is in, we're going to make forward movement. It feels like we just had like a couple of hours here. We're going to skip ahead and be like, oh, well, next time we'll be picking up, it'll be Spring Mother 23. And we'll keep with the same weather, I think, just because the weather didn't really come into play this time. So having that foggy weather means all sorts of things could be hiding in the fog, unfortunately. But we're going to get up early, we're going to buy those donkeys and get them loaded up, and we're going to zip out of here, man. And we're going to get started with session 4 on this long travel itinerary where we're going to be hitting, first stop's going to be Hell's Storehouse, where we're going to put it right here. We're going to chop off the extra rations into storage. But yeah, that's our plan for next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. We might do this next week. I might do something else I haven't figured out. I like to try to like play these every other week, but we'll see. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this new slot. I think this is the new slot I'm going to try to push towards a little bit later, because usually I used to start it a few hours earlier. But this one I think works a little bit better. I think gets a few more people show up. Not quite as early, at least for me, in the morning, which is nice. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Do the subscribe thing, like the thing. If you want to catch up on the previous episodes and the setup for the campaign, you can go check those out. That's all in a nice little playlist. Otherwise, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.